I ducked my head behind a stone wall as an explosion erupted, filling the darkening sky with a brilliant light. I covered my ears, closing my eyes tight, heart hammering as the ground shook beneath my feet. What was this place? Where am I? I gritted my teeth as the echoes of the blast began to fade. I peeked around the corner, spotting a huge crater where something used to be. I shook my head, blinking to let my eyes adjust to the light as I heard movement. Well, that was some explosion, a voice commented, a torch appearing in the distance. The trees shrouded two figures, or at least I thought there were two. Could there be more? It'll be perfect, the second speaker announced with triumph. He'll never know what hit him. The first voice chuckled. You know he'll retaliate, and I'll be ready when he does. I admired that confidence in that voice, even as I felt a trickle deep inside my chest. Something about those voices felt familiar, like I knew these people. But I didn't know these people. I barely even knew why I was here. My sister. Well, that's what she kept telling me, anyway. I wasn't even sure what to believe when I woke up this morning. I was trying to find answers, but instead my sister found herself in trouble, and now I had to find her. It was my fault she was out here in the middle of the night. The figures drew closer, and I could see they were both male. They were both tall. One was tan and muscular, and the other was lean but nimble. They both looked at the hole in the ground admiringly. I'll get you more of that gunpowder you asked for. The muscular man finally spoke, scratching the stubble of a beard thoughtfully. His piercing blue eyes twinkled in the torchlight. We should probably get back before someone gets suspicious. Doc doesn't even know we're here. The other man teased with a very familiar smirk. Where did I know that smile from? You know he has eyes everywhere. Scar. The first man shuddered. The hive mind is always watching. Scar chuckled. It's nothing compared to the vengeance we'll bring on his head. That's when his gaze moved, spotting me hidden behind a boulder. I froze, breath caught in my throat. Should I run? Surely it would be better to keep my distance. Yet my sister was out there in the dark somewhere, all alone. It was my fault she was in this mess. The thought hit me so hard my vision swam, and suddenly the firelight was gone. I opened my eyes as a bright light blinded me. I reached my hand up to shield my eyes when I stopped. Why was everything so blocky? Why was the mid-morning sun shaped like a cube? Why were there strange white stripes dotted on the windows? Where was I? You're awake! I've been waiting forever! The unfamiliar voice came to my right. I turned my head, frowning when I saw a little girl about 11 or 12, sitting on a cube bed, swinging her blocky legs back and forth. That's when I realized my hand was also blocky. In fact, my whole body was all squares and rectangles. I frowned, pushing myself out of bed. Do I know you? I'm your sister, silly, the little girl giggled, hopping off the adjacent bed. We grew up in this house together, with Mommy and Daddy. I blinked, unable to shake the wave of confusion that no doubt the girl had seen. Her smile faded as she tilted her head. She seemed to recover quickly, though, running over to me to grab my hand. You promised we'd go on an adventure today. I did? I asked. She nodded. We always go on adventures together in the woods. I tilted my head. Don't you have school? No school today. It's a holiday. The little girl cheered, dancing around in a circle. It's the best day ever. Yeah, best day ever, I said quietly, forcing myself to my feet. Can we go to your favorite spot today? The little girl pleaded. her bright pale eyes widening with excitement. I don't even know your name. The little girl giggled. Oh, I get it. We're playing. She grinned, lifting her head. I am Princess Rachel from Honeycombolis, and you are my second in command. We shall conquer the Googlies and take over our... They're horrible to remain and make it pretty again. Right, and how do you suggest we do that, Rachel? It's your majesty to you. Fine, I sighed. Have it your way, your highness. Come on, Kolbie. We have to hurry if we don't want to be late. She grabbed me by the wrist, dragging me to the closed door as I yelped in surprise. Wait, slow down. Hang on, I gasped as we both tumbled out of the door. Rachel ignored me as she pulled me into the kitchen. Don't we need to let Mom or Dad know where we're going? No, she said matter-of-factly, as if she'd done this 100 times before. Maybe she had. As long as we get back before nightfall. Right, of course, I mumbled, glancing over my shoulder as we ran out of the house. Whoa there, kiddo. Where do you think you're going? We came to such a sudden stop that I nearly ran into my sister. There was a man standing in a dusty, dirt-paved path, wearing a straw hat that shaded his face in shadow. Relief filled me as I smiled. Oh, we're just going to head to the market. Mom wanted us to get some food for the weekend, I lied, standing up straighter. If you don't mind, we should get going before the food gets cold. The man looked puzzled, but he only shrugged as he turned away. Well, have at it. Just remember not to go into the woods. Why not? I yelped as my sister tore off again, dragging me behind her. Rachel, stop! You're hurting me! Rachel didn't seem to have hurt me as we headed out of what I could see to be a small village. The village was tucked into a valley of daisies, surrounded by mountains on two sides. A plains village, I frowned. Where did that thought come from? I didn't have much time to contemplate that. As we neared the trees, I managed to pull myself out of my sister's surprisingly strong grip. That's when she finally came to a stop. Is there a good reason why we shouldn't go into the woods? I wheezed, resting my hands on my knees, trying to catch my breath. That's when my stomach growled. I hadn't even had breakfast yet, and here we were about to run into potential danger on an empty stomach. Oh, it's not a big deal, Rachel shrugged. Our neighbor is just paranoid because a few kids went missing a few months ago. What happened to them? I asked. No one knows. Some say that they were taken by the witches who lurk deep in the woods, looking for their next unsuspecting victim. You want to go in there? I asked. You do it all the time. She crossed her arms and pouted. You're barely even 12. You're too young to be going out here on your own. I am not alone, she said sweetly. You're coming with me. I am not going out there without a plan and some food in my system first. Rachel rolled her eyes. Food is overrated. Don't you want to see what they're hiding from us? This isn't one of your stories again, is it? I put my hands on my hips. Rachel smiled. There's only one way to find out. She turned and bolted into the woods. Rachel, come back! I tore after her, shaking my head in defeat. As much as I wanted to find out what was going on, I couldn't just leave her out there by herself. She was just a kid. I felt responsible even though I barely knew her. I forced myself to slow down as my stomach growled in protest. I didn't know how long I'd been running. Didn't know how far we were from the village. But I followed my sister into the woods, and I had to brave it. Right now, my decent food. I took in my surroundings, trying to find something I could eat. There was the soft buzz of bees, the bleat of a nearby sheep, and the crunching of leaves. And, of course, the trees that surrounded me. Oak trees. I noticed that a thought came to me, and I went to one of the trees. Before I knew it, I was holding oak logs in my hand as leaves floated down from above. I looked up in confusion. Where did the trunk go? I looked at my hand. Did I do that? I didn't even know I could do that. Did I, though? I pocketed the logs as items began popping down from the trees. Saplings, sticks, and apples. Apples! Food! I scooped up one off the ground and went to bite into it when I paused. Is this even sanitary? Should I find some water to wash this off? My stomach growled in finality as I gave in, munching on the apple with one hand and grabbing a few more with the other. Rachel would be hungry soon and need something to eat. It served her right running off without a plan. Speaking of plans, how are we possibly going to get home? Every step I took leading away from the village meant that much longer before we got home. If we were supposed to be back before dark, then why were we going so far? Rachel? Rachel, we probably shouldn't be going this far. We should get back. I called out for her. There was no reply. I jumped when I heard a low growl, but relaxed when I realized it was a wolf. It didn't pay much attention to me as it lumbered by. Perhaps it was looking for its packmates, like I was for my sister. Come on, Rach! This isn't funny! I kept walking further and further, unease and panic prickling at my brain like needles. What if Rachel was hurt? What if there was something else out here that took her? Should I go get help? Rachel, get back here now, or I'm telling Mom you wandered off again, I demanded. Wasn't that how it usually went? Little girl comes running because she doesn't want her big sister to tattle on her? Or would this mother Rachel spoke about even care? The villagers hadn't seemed bothered to build a wall to keep anyone from getting into the woods to begin with. I stopped when I felt something different from the warm sun pouring from the leaves above me, different from the summer-like breeze that shook the branches, shifting the shadows back and forth, different from the soft dirt or dried leaves crunching at my feet. A cool breeze, a sign that there was a cave nearby. Rachel? I asked nervously, following the direction of the breeze until I nearly tripped over a pile of items on the ground. Crouched down, examining the items. Wooden tools. What were they doing here? Had Rachel made them? Shook my head. Why would she leave them here? I looked up, spotting the cave just ahead. A few blocks were missing. She discarded them after making new tools. I could still see a crafting table just outside the cave entrance. What are you doing? I whispered, slowly getting to my feet. That's when I felt it. It was small at first, but each step I went, it grew stronger. A pull, a call, a nudge to enter the cave, to see what was inside. Rachel wasn't there. That I knew for sure. Rachel, it's time to get home. I hear Mom calling. My voice echoed softly into the cave. There was no response. Was this the place my sister mentioned? The place I always went to? I shook my head as I walked deeper into the cave, wary of every shadow. It was dark in the cave, and I didn't want to be jumped by a zombie or skeleton, though it was strange now that I knew so much about the world that I did myself. There was a dull purple light at first. The pull was undeniable now. My sister had been here. I could see some random items strewn about, a tattered jacket, a book and quill, and a sign plastered on the wall. Approached the sign, puzzled to find it empty. Who put up a sign and didn't write anything on it? I turned a corner, shielding my eyes as the purple light blazed through me like a current of water, washing me purple and bathing me in a strange warmth. The wall looked like something large had smashed itself into it, leaving a swirling purple abyss before me. Something about this strange rift was familiar, though I couldn't put my finger on why. I cautiously approached the rift, gazing up at it in amazement. It was huge, yet somehow it sat smugly in the small cave that led to nowhere. I knew for sure my sister had gone through it. You've got to be kidding me. I swore under my breath and charged into the rift, letting the violet light consume me as I traveled from one world to another. I stepped out onto the other side of the rift, clutching my head with a hand as I came to a stop. Everything was spinning, shifting all around me. I was in some sort of town, at least I thought it was a town. There were shops everywhere, selling a variety of different things, from moss to mangrove logs to some sort of flying apparatus. Wings. Though I didn't know how in the world someone could fly. Dusk was falling as I stumbled onto the steep slate path, marveling at the giant cherry blossoms that towered against the bruised purple sky. Even this place somehow felt familiar. But how was that possible? I'd never been here before. Rachel? I called, looking around at my surroundings. The rift was carved into a stone cliff, almost obscured by boulders and greenery. If I hadn't just walked through it, I wouldn't have known it was there. I called for my sister again, but there was no response. She had to be here somewhere, didn't she? She couldn't be far. Was she purposely ignoring me? Well, I was going to find her and drag her home if I had to. She was going to be in so much trouble. I frowned. Why should I care about one little girl? She wasn't even my sister. Was she? Just because I didn't remember her didn't mean she was lying to me. I had to be missing something. I shook my head and began to walk. I wasn't sure to where, but it was better than nothing. Maybe I'd run into Rachel before the monsters came out. I had to find out before our parents realized we hadn't returned home. Home. A lump formed in my throat as I passed under the cherry trees. This place somehow felt like home, even though I knew deep down it wasn't. Maybe it was what I wanted home to be. But what was my life like before? Who was I before? Was I really a girl named Kolbie? Or did I have another name? Another family who were worried sick about me, just like Rachel's parents would be if she never returned. I had to find her. The stars started to appear in the sky as the path transitioned from display to dirt. The surroundings areas were mostly dark, but the path at least was well lit. As I followed along, where it would lead me, I didn't know. It wasn't long before I found myself in the forest, face to face with a stranger I didn't know. Yet something told me that I should know who he was, who both of these men were. Why, hello there. The stranger's voice seemed kind, gentle enough. Yet I had just seen him launch a blazing white item that had exploded moments earlier. At least I assumed he was the one who triggered the explosive. Could I trust this guy? I sunk back behind the boulder, my heart hammering in my throat, threatening to burst as I scrambled for what to say. I was hoping to find my sister and get out as fast as I could, not run into anyone who lived here. Did they live here? There's no need to be scared. I'm not going to hurt you, Scar said calmly. I heard footsteps, jumping when I saw a shadow appear from behind the boulder. You're not? I stammered, not completely sure I believed him. You sure she wasn't sent to spy on us? The other man asked. She's just a child, Scar said simply, giving the other man a firm glance before crouching closer to my level. No, we're not. And like some people, we are more than eager to help anyone in need. I blinked, hitting how small I felt. These men could do anything to me, and there was nothing much I could do about it. Yet it was pretty clear now that I needed help. My sister's missing. Oh no, that's not good. Scar's bright smile fell. He reached out to put a hand on my shoulder. We'll help you find her. You will? I perked up, rolling my shoulders back like a weight had been lifted off them. Of course we will, right, Skiz? Scar said, matter-of-factly, getting to his feet. That's not even in question, Skiz said warmly, appearing next to Scar. Sorry you had to see that. We were testing a TNT launcher. I figured, I replied, getting to my feet before holding out a hand. Scar instantly took it and shook. Hopefully that goes well. It will, Scar beamed, his face radiating with confidence. There is no way it could go wrong with Skiz giving me a hand. Yeah, totally, Skiz coughed with a smile. Let me get the word out to the others to be on the lookout, okay? You got it. Let me know if you find anything. Scar waved as Skiz shot off into the sky. I gasped, realizing that they both were wearing wings. Had they bought them from the shop or found them on their own? Oh, where are we going? I asked when Scar gestured for me to follow. My base, to come up with a plan to find your sister, Scar said calmly, linking his arm around mine. Hopefully someone found her before the monsters do. Dread filled me as I swallowed. Phew. I hadn't realized I had fallen asleep until I woke up to the sound of whispered voices. I could barely make them out as I climbed out of bed, surrounded by a cherry blossom meadow. I'd arrived at Scar's base exhausted. I couldn't understand how someone would willingly walk so far. Sure, I'd seen a few horses and donkeys dotted about, but they seemed to have been abandoned. I told you I can't. I've got so many things to do, a voice whispered, piquing my interest. I couldn't place that voice, but it definitely wasn't Scar or Skiz. I thought you liked doing this kind of thing. Messing with Doc? No, the voice replied. I helped you enough by throwing them off the trail. I need more people on my side, Scar insisted. I trust you. I know you can give him the distraction he needs. You won't have to touch anything. I can look at something, and it can just break at this point, the voice muttered. As much as I'd love to, I'm not in the mood to start a fight I can't win. We won last time, Scar argued. We were lucky, the voice replied. I'm not going to help you blow up his hard work. I'm not blowing it up, just going to scare him a little bit. Uh-huh, just like you hired kids to kidnap a zombie. I hear that. That was a lethal mistake. Fine, suit yourself, Gran. Scar groaned. But you'll regret it when he comes for the rest of you for helping me before. I'd love to see him try, Gran mused before I heard rockets again. He was gone. I poked my head through the door in time to see Scar watching his friend go. The man shook his head. Is there something wrong? I asked, unsure if it was safe to leave this makeshift room Scar had made for me. No, of course not. Everything's fine, Scar said cheerfully, turning around to face me. In fact, I just heard from Skiz. He found your sister. He did? Where is she? Is she okay? The smile flickered as he watched me intently. She seems okay. At least Doc hasn't done anything to her yet. The world stopped. It felt like the floor had been pulled from underneath me. My sister was with Doc? The same guy that Skiz and Scar were talking about? That was retaliating after a silly, harmless prank? What was Doc doing to my sister? But don't worry, Scar said with a shrug. It's a good thing we have a plan to get her back. We do? I squeaked, hating how everything seems to close around me like a trap. Yeah, we threatened to blow up his redstone if he doesn't hand her over. He said it like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Why would we blow up his redstone? I asked slowly. He hates it when people touch his redstone. It's very fragile, Scar snickered. That's how he didn't suspect me. He expected someone who knew what they were doing. Why destroy his hard work? We're not destroying it. Scar wiggled his eyebrows. We gotta get it pretty close, but it won't do any damage. I wouldn't want to do that again to the man. Again? I asked. Scar stared at me in stunned silence before going over to adjust. I've got everything here, he said quickly, grabbing some tools, redstone blocks, and other trinkets. I even brought you a spare set of wings. I don't know how to fly. Scar's eyes lit up. I'll teach you. Why do I have a feeling that this isn't going to go well? Trust me, I definitely know what I'm doing, Scar replied. I wouldn't lie to you, would I? I shrugged. Maybe. Scar chuckled before offering a fresh pair of elytra wings in one hand and rockets in the other. It's pretty easy. I'm not going to let you fall. I yelped. Why were they agreeing to this? Then again, my sister was in trouble, and I had to save her. I was the one who put her into this mess in the first place. Flying was not, in fact, easy. It was actually pretty terrifying. My eyes were screwed shut for most of the ride as I followed Scar's every instruction, hoping against hope that I wouldn't crash into something or fall from the sky. None of that happened, though. Sure, my landing was a little bumpy and Scar had to steady me with a hand, but I made it here safely. I almost wanted to kiss the dirt at my feet, but I didn't want to seem weird or unusual to the man. This man I barely knew. I was the big sister willing to do anything to get her sister back. We were in some sort of tundra, snowflakes fluttering gently down on my head, cold kisses on my face, and noticed a weird clump of structures ahead made of some sort of ore. It took me a minute to realize that they were deep slate diamond ore. He built out of diamonds? My eyes widened in amazement. Oh, he's just showing off. Scar brushed aside with a hand as he began to build the TNT launcher. Now, if I have the directions right, I need to put this here, here. His voice drowned out as I stared at the machine in the distance. What exactly was it? And why diamond ore? What sort of madman was this? Should I be worried about my safety? My sister's? That's a lot of diamonds, I pointed out. Fortune would give him more, but no, he'd rather collect sand than diamond. Sand? Why? I whirled around at Scar. Scar smirked. Salty and like hold a grudge. And that's why you want to blow up his redstone? We're not blowing up anything, Scar said simply. Somehow I doubt that. An unfamiliar voice with a thick accent said. Scarcast, turning around. Why, hello there, Doc. It's so nice to see you. How have you been? Did you like my present? A creeper goat-like creature hopped down from a canopy above. I hope it didn't give you any nightmares. No, not at all, Scar said casually, placing a few more blocks, watching the strange creature warily. What are you doing here, if I may ask? This is my base. Of course, and I was hoping to give you a surprise of my own. Oh, really? Dot crossed his arms. Couldn't read his expression. Then why are you building an obvious TNT launcher? What? Of course that's not what I'm building, Scar laughed. Who would have told you that? I have eyes and ears everywhere, Scar. You should know that by now. Nothing stays secret forever. Tattletales, Scar muttered. I assure you, Doc, we aren't doing anything malicious. Mm-hmm, Doc replied slowly. Well, we wouldn't be doing it if you weren't holding my sister hostage. I stepped forward. How dare this man act so casually when everything was at stake? My sister could be getting into trouble right now. What if she got trapped in one of Doc's machines? What if she fell off from a ledge? What if she accidentally breaks something? Doc had clearly been upset when Scar had messed with his redstone. How much worse could it be for my sister? What? Doc said in a half laugh, half shocked way. You heard her, Scar said, narrowing his eyes. Her sister was missing yesterday. We know you have her. Give her back, or we'll send everything sky high. I doubt you'd even make a dent with that launcher, Doc mused. You'd probably blow yourself up instead. Scar clenched his fists. I'll show you an explosion. He stomped over to the TNT launcher and set it off. The explosion went flying through the air before landing harmlessly miles away from the redstone. Doc laughed. Would you like me to show you how a real launcher works? I've seen it before, Doc muttered. Scar muttered, shoulders slumped. It was a good effort. Doc patted Scar on the shoulder before turning to me. I don't know what my friend here has told you, but I'm not holding your sister hostage. I don't believe you, I sneered. A smile appeared on his face. Come, I can show you. And why would I listen to you? You're a big fat jerk. You misunderstand, child, Doc said calmly, coming toward me. Found your sister out by herself in the dark. I couldn't just leave her on her own. So I took her to my base, in the hopes of getting her back to where she belongs. Why? I asked skeptically. I know what you builders are like. You kidnap people and make them do things for you. I have better ways of getting what I need than using others for my benefit, Doc said blandly. I'm a father. Any child I see is a child I'm willing to do anything it takes to protect. So you admit it. You took her on purpose. Scar pointed at him as if he caught him in a confession. Doc shook his head. This child has clearly been through enough. Let's reunite him. Scar nodded reluctantly. You're right. He glanced over at me, flashing me a smile as if to say, I told you I'd find your sister. I couldn't help but return the smile. As ridiculous as this was, Doc's word made sense. Any father would take a child in if he felt the child was in danger. My sister was safe, and soon we'd be able to return home. And after the reunion, you will be taking them home, Doc said firmly, turning to Scar. The man didn't argue, only nodding with respect. No funny business. No funny business, Scar repeated with a sigh. It wasn't fun, though, wasn't it? Doc shook his head before looking at me. Do you want to see her now, or go to where I found her? I came out of a cave near a town, I think, I replied, quietly. It had a lot of shops. It's a shopping district. Scar's eyes lit up. I'll meet you there. No, you will help me get these two there, Doc said firmly. I wouldn't be foolish enough to expect a child to fly or walk the whole way. Right, of course, Scar mused. I forgot. We'll be okay once we get to the rift, I said. Scar blinked at me for a moment before he nodded. Good. Now, let's get you to home. Your parents must be worried. I stood before the rift, staring into the purple depths, as my sister clung to me. She had apologized profusely for running off, promising to never do it again. Something inside me knew that this was a pattern. I wondered if this was what Rachel meant by adventures. Had she gone on them with me before? Good luck out there, Scar spoke, breaking the silence. I turned, seeing the man standing alone, with his hands in his pockets. Doc had flown off after dropping off my sister, wishing us well. I just hope it's not too dark out when we get back, I admitted. It was around the afternoon when we left. Scar frowned. You sure you don't want me to come with you? No, it's fine, I insisted, pulling my sister closer. Besides, I don't know how long this thing will stay open. I don't want you to be separated from your friends. Scar's eyes softened. Well, we're always up for a visit if you ever want to stop by. Thanks. Something simmered in my heart. Those words meant more than I knew. Why? I'll see you again soon. Scar grinned and waved at the two of us near the portal. Say hello to the sheriff for me. I looked at him quizzically. But before I could ask, Rachel and I had disappeared into the rift, Scar vanishing from sight. I hope he and Doc would sort things out between them. But from what I could see, there was no hard feelings. They were just friends messing with each other, making do with what they had to tell their own stories. Perhaps I could do the same, rewriting a fresh new chapter of my life. And if I ever figured out the truth of how and why I ended up in that bed, it didn't matter so much as it had given me a sister I had learned to love, who had chosen me first.